5 boys were playing football on the streets. Then a police van appeared. All 5 were taken. Only one came back. And the story he told, nobody expected it. The street was quiet that evening in Lugbe, Abuja. The rain had just stopped, leaving puddles glistening under flickering street lights. A group of boys, Chibuzo, Danjuma, Sheyi, Emeka and Tope, kicked around a battered football, their laughter echoing between rows of half-finished buildings. They were neighborhood kids, the kind who fixed generators, washed cars or ran errands for shop owners. None of them had much, but football made the evenings feel lighter. Then at 7:46 p.m., a dark blue police Hilux van rolled around the corner. Its siren wasn't on, just the hum of its engine and the glare of its headlights sweeping over the boys like a searchlight. The van stopped. 2 officers jumped down, their boots splashing through puddles. "Hey, you boys," one barked. "Come here." The boys froze. Chibuzo, the oldest at 16, stepped forward hesitantly, clutching the ball. "Good evening, sir." Before he could finish, one officer grabbed him by the collar. "You think we don't know what you are doing here?" What did we do?" Tope stammered. "Arrest them," the officers ordered. "These are the boys that robbed that woman last night." The boys' protest dissolved into chaos. One by one, they were pushed into the van, heads hitting the metal sides. No explanation, no questions, just the sound of handcuffs clicking shut. Within minutes, the football lay forgotten in a puddle, its red paint fading into the mud. By morning, word had spread through the estate. Parents ran to the nearest police post, demanding answers. The officers on duty shrugged. "We don't have them here. Maybe check SARS division or FCT command." That was where it began, the long, desperate search. Inside a small compound in Jabi, Ngozi Okafor, Chibuzo's mother, sat outside with a wrapper tied tightly around her chest. Her hands trembled as she clutched a photograph of her son. "I saw them playing," she told anyone who would listen. "They didn't do anything. My boy is innocent." Her husband, Ifeanyi, a commercial driver, was already on the road to the SARS headquarters in Guzape, chasing a rumor that 5 boys had been brought in overnight. He wasn't allowed past the gate. They said they haven't seen them. He told his wife over the phone. "But I saw one of the officers. He looked away when I mentioned Chibuzo's name." "Ngozi, I think they are lying." 2 weeks later, when the story had already begun to fade from the public eye, Anita Udo, an investigative journalist from a small online outlet called Factual Voices, received a tip. 5 missing boys. Last seen in Lugbe. Police said it was an operation against robbery suspects. She had heard it before, another routine arrest. But something about the details didn't sit right. No case file, no record, no remand order. She started digging. Her first stop was Lugbe police station. The DPO, a heavy-set man with a weary look, leaned back in his chair and sighed. "Madam journalist, you people always want stories. There was no illegal arrests. Those boys were suspects." "Then where are they?" Anita asked. He adjusted his cap. "Transferred." "To where?" "Ask CID, he said, avoiding her eyes. That was the wall every family hit. Transferred. No address, no paperwork, just silence. It was on a rainy night, 19 days after the arrest, that the door to Ngozi's house banged open. There stood Tope, barefoot, drenched and shaking. "Jesus!" Ngozi cried. "Tope, where is my son?" Tope collapsed on the floor, weeping uncontrollably. It took almost an hour before he could speak. "They took us to a place near Nyanya," he said, voice trembling. "An underground place. They beat us. They asked us to say we stole from one woman, that we broke into her shop. But we didn't. They said if we didn't confess, we won't see daylight again." Ngozi's heart clenched. "Where is Chibuzo?" Tope's eyes flooded with tears. "He was still there when they brought me out. He couldn't move anymore. Anita managed to track Tope down days later. His account was chilling. He spoke of a compound without a signboard somewhere off the Yanya Kachi road, where young men were held in tiny cells. They used pliers, he said softly. They said they would write any confession they wanted, and we just had to sign. Anita took notes furiously. She had covered corruption before, but never this kind. Not children disappearing under the pretext of justice. When she called the FCT police PRO for comment, the response was calm, almost rehearsed. We are investigating all credible reports. However, many online claims are exaggerated. Exaggerated? That word made her furious. She had seen the bruises on Tope's back. She had seen the broken fingers. One night, Anita received an anonymous message. If you want the truth about the 5 boys, go to Gaki Division. There is a ledger. Look for the name Inspector Yakubu. But be careful, they don't like nosy people. She went the next day, posing as a law student researching juvenile arrests. The ledger was a thick, dust-covered book with columns for names, offences and dates. There it was. Arrested 5 suspects, robbery, lugbe. Handed over to tactical unit for interrogation. No signatures, no date of release. Anita took a photo when no one was looking. That was her proof. That night, she received a call from a blocked number. Madam Anita, a low male voice said, "Stop digging. Those boys were not supposed to be found. You don't know what you are getting into." "Who is this?" she asked. "Just stop," the man said. "Before they make it 6 boys." Then the line went dead. Anita published the story anyway. Headline: 5 boys missing after police operation in Abuja. Only one returns. It went viral overnight. Families of other missing youths began reaching out. Boys picked from motor parks, from kiosks, from their way to school, all gone. The Human Rights Commission issued a statement demanding an internal inquiry. For a moment, it seemed justice might finally move. Then 2 days later, Anita's office was raided. Her laptop and notes were seized under the guise of cyber security. But she had backups, and she had one final lead: a police insider who promised to reveal everything about the illegal confessions and the officers profiting from them. The insider agreed to meet at a dimly lit cafe in Area 10, wearing a baseball cap pulled low. "You didn't hear this from me," he whispered. "But those boys, they were never meant to reach court. They were being used, forced to confess in place of big men's son. Real criminals who could pay their way out." Anita leaned forward, recording discreetly. "You mean they replace real suspects with innocent kids?" He nodded. "They call it case balancing. One child for one crime. Simple." Before Anita could ask another question, he froze. Through the cafe window, a black SUV had just pulled up outside. His hand shook. "They found me." Then he stood abruptly and ran out the back door. Anita sat frozen as the headlights flared through the glass. The rain came down hard over Abuja that night. Anita sat alone in her car, parked a few streets from the cafe in Area 10. Her recorder was still on, capturing the faint hum of thunder and the last words of the man who had vanished into the night. They call it case balancing. One child for one crime. Simple. She replayed it again and again. It was the first direct confirmation of what every human rights lawyer whispered about, but no one could prove. A system where innocent boys were used as stand-ins for the guilty, all to keep police records clean and statistics high. But the man who could prove it had disappeared. By morning, Anita called every contact she had. No one had seen him. The cafe CCTV stopped working an hour before their meeting. A few hours later, our editor called. "Anita, we just got an email from an anonymous account. It's a file." She rushed to the newsroom. Inside the folder was a scanned set of documents labeled Interrogation Log, Tactical Unit, Yanya. The list had names, dates, and beside each, a column titled Resolution Status. Next to Chibozo Okafor's name, the box was marked Case Closed. confessed. Anita's hands trembled. Confessed? She whispered. To what? There was no signature, no evidence, no report, just a single word that had sealed the boy's fate. She took the document to Barrister Obinna Eze, a human rights lawyer who had been quietly defending cases like these for years. His office was small, with faded posters reading "Justice for All." He scanned the papers, jaw tightening. "This is their game," he said bitterly. "They pick up street boys, beat them until they sign confessions. Then they release the real suspects, the ones with money. It's been going on for years." "Can it be proven?" Anita asked. Obinna sighed. "Only if we find one survivor willing to testify. But most don't live long after release. They are marked." Anita thought of Tope, the only boy who came back. When she found him again, he was hiding in his uncle's house in Kuje. Skinny, withdrawn, his face hollowed by fear. "I can't talk anymore, auntie," he whispered. "They are watching me." "Who's watching you?" "The same people who took us. They came again last week. They asked if I've been speaking to journalists." Anita leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Tope, I have proof that your friends didn't die in vain, but I need you to help me tell it." He hesitated, then slowly nodded. That was the moment everything shifted. Over the next week, Anita and Barrister Obinna pieced together a file that could shatter the system. They matched police transfer logs with missing persons reports. They discovered 12 other cases across Abuja where young men vanished after routine arrests. Each one had the same pattern. No court record, no lawyer, just a confession signed under duress. "This isn't random," Anita said. "It's institutional." Obinna nodded grimly, and the higher-ups know. They compiled a report titled "Ghost Confessions: How Innocent Youths Are Used to Protect the Powerful." But publishing it would come at a price. One evening, as Anita left her office, she noticed a black Prado following her. When she stopped at a red light, the car stopped too. Her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "We warned you once. Stop, or your name will be the next on the list." She didn't sleep that night. Instead, she sent encrypted copies of her files to 3 journalists she trusted. "If anything happens to me," she wrote, "don't let this story die." The next morning, Factual Voices published the full report. Within hours, it was trending on social media under #JusticeFor5. Parents of missing youths began staging protests at the FCT command headquarters. Television stations picked up the story. The Human Rights Commission called for a public inquiry. For the first time, people were asking, who are the real criminals? But within the police force, panic spread like wildfire. The tactical unit in Yanya went silent. Officers stopped reporting for duty. Files were burned overnight. And in the middle of that chaos, one document leaked. It was a confidential memo signed by a high-ranking officer authorizing the temporary holding of low-level suspects to expedite case closure. It was the smoking gun. A week later, police stormed Anita's office again. This time, they arrested Obinna under false publication of state secrets. Anita ran to his wife's house that night. "They took him," she said, voice shaking. "They will try to silence this." But Obinna's wife handed her something wrapped in brown paper. "He told me to give you this if anything happened." Inside was a flash drive labeled "The Real Confessions." It contained video clips, shaky, filmed secretly inside interrogation rooms. In one, a boy barely older than 15 sobbed as an officer shouted, "Say you did it!" The boy screamed, "I don't even know who you are talking about." Then the slap, the crying, the forced signature. It was undeniable. Anita uploaded the footage anonymously. Within 24 hours, it exploded online. Every clip showed the same thing. Young Nigerians coerced into confessing to crimes committed by others. Some of the names on the papers matched wealthy suspects who had been mysteriously released just weeks before. It wasn't just corruption. It was a full-blown human rights conspiracy. The Inspector General of Police ordered an emergency press briefing. Cameras flashed as he declared, all rogue officers involved will be brought to justice. But Anita knew better. She had seen enough statements to recognize when they were just for show. Still, something had changed. The silence was broken. Weeks passed. Then one morning, a call came from an anonymous source. If you still want to find Chibuzo, go to the old tactical site outside Nyanya. They've shut it down. You might find what you are looking for. Anita and two volunteers from a human rights NGO drove there before sunrise. The building was half abandoned, the air heavy with mold and dust. In the back room, they found a small ledger, water damaged but legible. Under deceased, unidentified males, one entry read simply, #47, male, approximately 16, arrested in Lugbe football field, deceased during interrogation. Ngozi Okafor wept when Anita showed her the page. She held the faded football her son once played with, tears soaking her wrapper. "He just wanted to play ball," she said quietly. "They took him like he was nothing." The public outcry was immense. International media picked up the story. The National Assembly summoned the police command for questioning. A few officers were arrested, including Inspector Yakubu, the same name from Anita's ledger. But within months, most of the noise faded. The headlines shifted to something new. Still, Anita refused to let it die. She produced a full documentary called The Vanishing Boys of Abuja. It exposed not just one case, but dozens across the country. It premiered quietly on YouTube, but the impact was loud. Months later, Anita visited Ngozi again. The sun was setting over the compound, casting a warm glow on the old football lying in the dirt. "They said justice will come," Ngozi murmured, "but my son won't." Anita placed a hand on her shoulder, "But because of him, others will." She looked around. Children were back on the same dusty streets, playing football again, but this time the mothers watched from the gate. The laughter had returned, but the innocence was gone. As the ball rolled to Anita's feet, she picked it up gently, staring at the fading red paint. 5 boys were playing football, she said softly. Only one came back, and because he spoke, the truth came out. If you stayed with us to this point, we are grateful and we are glad. Please share this video so that it can get to as many people as possible, so that people know about these illegal arrests that go on in our country. And if you've not subscribed to our channel, do well to click on that subscribe button, like our video, and I'll see you in the next story.